The hot topic this past week was a tragic plane crash. Last weekend, Asiana Airlines Flight 214 crash-landed at San Francisco International Airport. 2 people died in the accident and more than 180 others were left injured. Reporter Hyun-bin delivered the breaking news over the weekend. Arirang TV reporters were busy checking on updates of the plane crash that resulted in human casualties. News updates delivered analysis on possible reasons for why the plane crashed. Reporters Ji-sun and Ji Myung-kil appeared on primetime news. They delivered the latest updates about the crash of Flight 214. A South-North working-level meeting was held about the reopening of the Gaesung industrial complex. Due to a deterioration in bilateral relations, the joint business park was shut down in April. There were 2 working-level meetings held on July 6th and 10th. Unification Ministry correspondent Hwang Sung-hee reported on the situation live from the headquarters of the talks. The meeting ended without an agreement. A 3rd round of talks is scheduled for the 15th of July, with many concerned about whether operations at the Gaesung industrial complex will be restarted.
All North Korean workers.
All Muslims are now marking Ramadan, or the holy month of fasting. Muslims face unique challenges in Korea, but they say they don't want to be seen as different. Connie Lee has this story.
And Muslims have been gathering here since 1976. Since then, about 10 other mosques have been built, and there are currently 11 total nationwide. Even though fasting during Ramadan is not easy, Jin-soo says he looks forward to this season.
Reporter Connie Lee visited Korea's first Islamic mosque to cover a story on the Islamic holy month of Ramadan. You may wonder how she got interested in Ramadan in a country like Korea, where Islam is not widely practiced.
Well, I've passed by the mosque in Seoul and Itaewon before, and looking at the mosque, I thought it was quite large. And so, and looking outside, on the streets, I saw a lot of foreigners, foreign Muslims, but I wondered if there were the number of Korean Muslims in Korea. And so after looking into it, I learned that there are more than 30,000 Korean Muslims currently living in Korea. And so I thought it would be interesting to kind of look into their lives and to see if they face any different challenges compared with Muslims living in other countries. And, and they did. And so wanting to do this story from a while ago, I knew that Ramadan was coming up in July. And so in light of Ramadan, I actually looked into this story and was able to write about it and shoot it.
Connie first meets with the imam at Korea's Islamic mosque.
안녕하세요. 반갑습니다. 이카니 기자입니다.
네.
반갑습니다. 바쁘실 텐데 시간 내주셔서 감사합니다.
네.
70년도부터 이제 이슬람교 이렇게 믿는 사람들이 더 이제 많아졌다고 들었는데 그때랑 이제 지금이랑 비교를 하면은 더 증가했잖아요. 그러니까 약간 그거에 이제 뭐 원인이라든지
6.25 동란 이후에 1955년도에 이제 이슬람이 조금씩 늘기 시작했습니다. 그래서 60년대, 70년대를 맞이하면서 이제 중동붐이라는 아주 중요한 역사적인 또 계기를 마련하게 되고요. 그래서 한국 사람들이 많이 중동 지역에 진출도 하게 되고 2000년대 맞이하면서는 이제 여러 가지 세계적으로 또는 국제적으로 이슬람이라는 이름으로 많은 대형 사건 사고들이 많이 일어났던 것 같아요. 9.11 테러나 이런 전반적인 것들이 실제적으로 한국 사회에 이슬람이 잘 알려지게 되는 아주 중요한 계기가 되었고요. 사람들로 하여금 한 번 정도는 이슬람이 뭐길래 하는 차원에서 접근할 수 있는 아주 중요한 계기가 되었다고 생각을 합니다. 한국 무슬림 숫자는 그동안 쭉 발전해 왔습니다만 또 소멸 인구도 있기 때문에 약 한 3만 5천 명 정도 이렇게 추정하고 있습니다.
라마단이 오늘
밤에 알 수 있어요.
선셋 후
오늘 밤에 컨펌이 되면 내일부터 시작이고
네.
오늘 밤이 아니면 그 다음 날부터 시작이에요. 그러니까 수요일부터 될 수도 있어요. 오늘 밤에 알 수 있어요.
오늘
이게
밤에만
이제
알 수
그게
있어요?
가까운 이슬람 국가에서 안내가 되는데 우리나라에서 컨펌할 수 없어요.
그쵸.
우리나라는 이슬람 국가가 아니기 때문에
그쵸.
그래서 이 말레이시아에서 저녁에 이제 연락이 와요. 저녁 나머지 이후에 9시 전에 연락이 와요.
Connie asks for the file images related to Ramadan just in case she needs them for her story.
감사합니다.
Ramadan is announced at the appearance of the crescent moon, so shifting dates is a key variable for Connie.
So the official Ramadan date actually differs by country, or Korea was actually waiting until a call from Malaysia to tell them exactly which date was the start of Ramadan. And so I went out on Monday thinking that Ramadan could be on Tuesday. And if it started on Tuesday, with the full day of fasting on Tuesday, then I wanted to shoot the iftar or the fast-breaking meal Tuesday night. And so I actually had to wait until Monday, like 9 or 10 p.m. To get a call from the Korean Muslim Federation. And at 10 p.m. they told me that Ramadan will be starting on Tuesday night, and so the first full day would be Wednesday. And so we actually had to go with the footage that we shot on Monday of all the devout and the believers going to the temple, to the mosque on Monday, a day before Ramadan.
Connie is waiting to speak with a Korean Muslim who agreed to an interview.
일단은 좀 들어갔다 나갈까요, 우리? 비가 많이 왔죠.
아니 별로 저 나올 때는
네. 딱 지금. 아 진짜요? 그럼 몇 시?
시간이 돼서 지금 한 50분쯤 좀 넘어서
50분에.
못 올 것 같은데.
아 그래요? 그럼 우리가 조금 촬영 그냥 따라가도 되나요 그러면?
아예 보는 거죠? 여자분 못 들어가시는데.
She decides to follow him into the service area. Before entering the place of worship, one needs to clean their hands, mouth, and feet.
일단 먼저 들어가세요.
이거 여자분 근데 못 들어오시고.
네, 우리는 여기 있을게요.
According to Muslim law, only Muslims can enter the place of worship, while women have a separate area for themselves. If the rules are not followed, the service must stop. And since her presence could cause trouble to worshiping Muslims, Connie doesn't enter.
Because I am not a Muslim and I am a woman, I wasn't able to go to the main sanctuary or the main hall where they had the services. And so I had to stand outside the doors and just allow my male photographers to go in and get the footages. And so just looking from outside, it was just a different sight, a new sight to me to see in Korea, to see Koreans and other foreigners coming together and saying these Islamic prayers and attending these Islamic services.
After covering the Muslim service, Connie heads to a restaurant. She figured there must be some interesting angles about food to cover, since Muslims have restrictions on what they can eat, especially during the fasting period of Ramadan.
네. 안녕하세요. 저 아리랑 TV 이칸이 기자인데요. 우리 학생님이랑 우리 같이 대화를 나누는 거는 약간 짧게 우리가 뉴스에 이제 나갈 거거든요. 그래서 이제 음식을 먹고 이제 라마단을 위해서 이제 그거에 대해서 좀 얘기할 건데 촬영 짧게 가능한가요? 우리가?
뭐 단선이만 불편하게 했으면 좀
네, 절대로 우리가
없습니다.
불편하게 안 할게요. 네, 감사합니다. 뭔데요?
빅셀이라고 그냥 밥이랑
네.
이제 그냥 조금씩 나오는 게 있거든요. 샐러드 조금, 뭐 조금 그런 식으로.
그럼 저도 그렇게
그렇게
네, 무슬림으로서 한국에 사는 게 힘든 점도 좀 있지만 이렇게 문화 차이도 많잖아요. 제일 큰 문화 차이는 뭔 것 같아요, 또?
아무래도 술이랑 돼지고기가 제일 힘들죠. 한국에서는 이제 저녁 하면은 돼지고기에 소주 한 잔이라고 얘기하는데 삼겹살에 소주 한 잔이라 그러는데 어딜 가도 이제 사람들 만나면은 술자리가 항상 이어지고 항상 누굴 만날 때도 저 때문에 다른 음식을 이제 찾아서 헤매야 되고 술자리 같은 것도 이제 술자리 가서 저만 술 안 먹는 거니까 다른 사람들이 오히려 제가 이제 있는 거를 불편해하고 눈치를 보고 저도 눈치 보게 되고.
라마단의 그 느낌, 뭐 따로 이렇게 느끼는 거가 뭐가 있나요? 그냥 뭐
진짜 설레거든요. 그러니까 되게 행복해요. 그러니까 뭐 예배 보고 그런 것도 저만 하는 게 아니라 전 세계 15억 무슬림들이 다 굶고 한 마음으로 예배 보면서 그 월을 보낸다는 생각을 하면 되게 설레고 기다려지죠. 그리고 더 많은 축복이 있는 달이고 꾸란이 계시된 달이고 그래서 뜻깊게.
It was not easy to find a Korean Muslim. After weeks of contacting various sources, a response came from a 20-year-old man who had converted from Christianity to Islam.
그냥 스카이프 그러니까 일단 그러니까 사우디에서는 유학생도
For this story, I thought it was important to find my character, more specifically a Korean Muslim. You know, a lot of people aren't aware that there are many Korean Muslims in Korea right now. And so that was one of the hardest aspects of doing my story, is to finding that character. And so after talking to a few Korean Muslims, I realized that there are some challenges. And so that's why I wanted to focus my story on some of the challenges, and also the fact that they're actually very that they're looking forward to Ramadan, and it's not a time of hardship as one might think, because there's fasting involved, but it's actually a very joyous and festive period because a lot of the families and friends gather every night after sunset for the break fasting or fast breaking meal.
After lunch, Connie asked the Korean Muslim for a special favor. She wanted to get images of him reading the Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم فليدع ناديه.
Connie is fascinated while watching him read the Quran like he's singing a song.
네, 되게 좋았어요. 네.
원래 이렇게 음률이 있어서 전 되게 못하는 거고 진짜 저희 가수들 음악 듣는 것처럼 꾸란 잘 읽는 독경사들은 되게 유명해서 진짜 팬도 엄청 많고 CD도 많이 팔고 이제 진짜 내려오던 방식대로 그러니까 1400년 전에 꾸란이 게시됐던 때도 사람들이 그대로 따라서 외웠어요. 그때부터 지금까지 계속 그대로 외워갖고 틀리지 않고 전체를 외우는 사람들이 1억이 넘게 있어요.
그래서 저를 보면서 그냥 편하게 이제 말씀하시면 돼요. 한국에서 라마단은 뭐 다른 점이 있나, 아니면 느낌이 다른가?
이번에 세 번째 라마잔이에요. 라마잔 달에 특히 그 특별한 음식 많이 준비하고 있는데 터키에서 일본에 있는 무슬림들보다 한국에 있는 무슬림 사람들은 더 편하게 살 수 있어요. 왜냐하면 이태원에 그 헬랄 마트라고 하는 무슬림 사람들 먹을 수 있는 뭐 물건을 찾을 수 있는 마트 여기 한 거리에 그냥 모이고 있고.
It's 4:30 p.m. Muslims gather at the mosque one by one. Soon, the service starts.
During this Ramadan season, the officials at the Seoul Central Mosque expect a lot more people this year than last year because this year Ramadan falls on the peak vacation season in Korea. And so the imam at the Seoul Central Mosque expect about 600 people to gather during this Ramadan season. And actually, the Seoul Central Mosque is the largest mosque in Korea, and it's one of 11 mosques total nationwide. And so it'll be very interesting. I wish I could almost do a part 2 to this story to see, the 600 gathering in Itaewon in Seoul for this, for this Ramadan season, especially towards the end of Ramadan, where it's, the energy levels are higher and people are more in that, festive mood as Ramadan is coming to an end.
Connie went out to cover how Ramadan is observed in Korea, with the hope that the story could be shared, as Islam has about 1.5 billion observers worldwide. Starting from July 10th, Ramadan will continue for a 1-month-long period. Let's look forward to Connie Lee's story on the Islamic holy month of Ramadan.
Hello, welcome back. It's good to see you again. But I just briefly looked at it, and it's not much. It's just in principle they'll resume the operations, and South Korean businessmen should be allowed there.
A group of South Korean government officials and engineers crossed the border to North Korea earlier today, Tuesday that is, to prepare for the second round of inter-Korean talks set to take place on Wednesday in Gaesung.
Basically, first round of talks, there wasn't much that, came out from that, and that took like 15 hours, right? So how long do you think this one would take? Are we going to have to stay up all night here in the newsroom?
There is some question that you are not supposed to ask to the negotiator. What will be the result of the negotiation? We don't know.
So what kind of an agreement, if such and such agreement comes out, then you would call it successful?
For North Korea, if they can get the money basically out of Gaesung Industrial Park, that's fine. So they're gonna agree on the reopening the Gaesung Industrial Park, and what the South Korea would like to get is the reassurance about the safety issues, right? And then this do not reoccur again.
I hear that the South Korean head of delegation and the North Korean head of delegation, they have personal relations that go back. Am I correct?
Right, but all the time when negotiators go to negotiation, they have some sort of order made by the capital, right?
The government,
so,
yeah.
So the question is to what extent they can exercise their discretionary power to make things happen. If they have a specific order from the headquarters, and then they cannot do anything, even if they have personal, good relationship.
So, if all goes well, if it goes by the best scenario possible, could we expect the Gaesung Industrial Park up and running by early next week?
Why not? Why not? Right.
All right, sounds good. And I'll be seeing you in a little bit.
Right.
All right. So what can we expect from Wednesday's talks? Well, joining us live in the studio to provide us with insights is Chung So-young, Professor of International Studies at Korea University. Good evening, Professor Chung. Welcome to the program.
Good evening. I thought that Korea showed its sincere willingness at this time. Talking about the international aspect, it might be
교수님 공부 많이 하셨어요?
이 북한 so this is not a piece of cake, very hard to
Predict.
predict.
Did it come as a surprise to you that
No, just I expected that in that way,
The two Koreas held their second round of working level talks today on this Wednesday inside the joint Gaesung Industrial Complex to discuss how they can restart factory operations that have been stalled since April.
it wrapped up relatively quickly today, so why do you think that is?
Usually they're taking 16 hours, those kind of things. Most of the time might have spent on the kind of final wording, how to test the user way of it. But this time, I think the Seoul side probably had insisted on so-called international acceptable safeguard measures. I think that directly linked to who's responsible for this problem.
Do you think South Korea would ever walk away from Gaesung if we don't get the safeguard measures?
China wants to get back to the table of six-party talks. Actually, the hidden hand, the strong hand is Chinese pressure, right? So we cannot even, Park Geun-hye government cannot ignore the Chinese pressure.
They might again use Gaesung as a bargaining chip, as a hostage. Should we fall into that trap again?
So that's dilemma, but see, this is a first stepping stone. Gaesung is one thing, but our final end state, strategic end we want to achieve is the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. I think piece by piece, because this is without safeguard, we cannot go into that quagmire again. So at least, North Korea is supposed to give us kind of a justification to move on.
The script is here. So.
Okay, let me see. It's very hard, very delicate,
No, thank you very much.
I was not in the meeting, I was just watching over what's happening.
I know.
Dr. Kim Chul-woo, Senior Research Fellow at Korea Institute for Defense Analyses in the studio. Welcome back.
Good to be here.
So Dr. Kim,
This second round talks, we have lots of discussions. Why don't we get growth as a first step and as a stepping stone to develop?